I didn't buy the Rolls Royce to show off. That's the first thing people always get wrong. I bought it because I could, and because after years of grinding, failing, rebuilding, and grinding again, I wanted one thing that reminded me every morning that I'd made it. The car was a deep midnight black Rolls-Royce Ghost, factory stock, perfectly legal, no decals, no modifications, no vanity plates screaming for attention. Just quiet wealth, the kind that doesn't need to explain itself. I had just moved into Cedar Ridge Estates, a high-end suburban neighborhood just outside Phoenix. Gated community, manicured lawns, perfect sidewalks, HOA rules thick enough to double as a legal textbook. I read them, every page, because I knew exactly the kind of people who lived there. People who smiled with their mouths and judged with their eyes. The first morning I parked the Rolls in my driveway, I noticed the curtains moving. Not subtly, not accidentally, full-on neck-craning surveillance. By noon I saw her. She stood across the street pretending to check her phone while staring directly at my car. Mid-50s, short blonde hair, oversized sunglasses, clipboard tucked under her arm like it was a weapon. That's when I knew. HOA Karen had been activated. She didn't approach me that day. She just watched. The next morning, I found a bright orange ticket tucked under my windshield wiper. Notice of HO violation, unauthorized vehicle display. I laughed out loud. Unauthorized vehicle display? I read it again. The violation stated that my vehicle was excessively luxurious, visually disruptive, potentially intimidating to other residents. I thought it was a joke until I saw the fine. $500? And the signature at the bottom. Linda H., HOA Compliance Officer. That's when I realized this wasn't about rules. This was about control. And Linda had just made the biggest mistake of her life. I went straight to the HOA office. Didn't argue. Didn't yell. Didn't flex. I walked in calm, smiling, holding the ticket. Linda was already there. Same sunglasses. Same clipboard. Same look of someone who had never been told no. She looked up, smirked, and said, "Oh, you're here about that." I asked politely, "Can you explain what rule my car violates?" She didn't even check the handbook. She crossed her arms and said, "That vehicle is inappropriate for this neighborhood." I blinked. Inappropriate how? She leaned in, lowering her voice like she was explaining something obvious to a child. "It looks too expensive." I thought I misheard her. "Too expensive?" "Yes," she snapped. "This is a family community. People here drive normal cars, SUVs, sedans. Your thing sends the wrong message." I asked, "Is there a rule against luxury vehicles?" She waved her hand dismissively. "There doesn't need to be. The HOA has discretionary authority." That sentence made my stomach drop, because I knew what she meant. She thought she was the law. I calmly pulled out the HOA bylaws, highlighted, tabbed, annotated. Page 47. Vehicle restrictions. No commercial vehicles, no inoperable vehicles, no vehicles over 20 feet, nothing about luxury. I slid the book across the desk. She didn't look. Instead, she smiled and said, "You can appeal, but until then, the fines will continue daily." I asked, "How much?" $500 per day, she replied cheerfully. Then she added the line that sealed her fate. "Or you can park it somewhere else, where it belongs." That night, I left the Rolls in the driveway. Exactly where it was. Day 2, another ticket. Day 3, 2 tickets. Day 4, a tow warning. That's when disbelief turned into anger. I installed security cameras. High definition, front and rear, audio included. And that's when I caught her. Linda walking onto my property, measuring tape in hand, camera out, narrating violations to herself like a deranged documentary. I stepped outside. "Linda, you're trespassing." She jumped, then immediately snapped back into character. "This is a compliance inspection." "No," I said. "This is my driveway, leave." She scoffed. "You people always get so defensive." "You people." There it was. I asked her to repeat herself. She smirked. "People who think money puts them above the community." I told her calmly, "Touch my car again, and I call the police." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Go ahead," she said. "Let them explain to you why this thing doesn't belong here." The next morning, I woke up to a tow truck. Hooked. Lifted. Actively taking my Rolls Royce. I ran outside barefoot. "Stop!" Linda stood there, arms crossed, smiling like she'd just won a war. "This vehicle has been deemed non-compliant." I called 911, and for the first time, she looked nervous. The police arrived fast. 2 officers. Calm. Professional. Linda immediately launched into her rehearsed speech. This man refuses to follow HOA rules. His car is causing distress. One officer turned to me. Sir, is this your vehicle? Yes. Is it legally registered and insured? Yes. Is it parked on your property? Yes. That should have been the end. But Linda interrupted. The HOA has authority here. The officer asked, do you have a court order or municipal code backing that? She froze. I handed the officer HOA bylaws, camera footage, the tickets, the audio recordings. He listened, watched, then turned to Linda. Ma'am, you are not allowed to authorize a tow from private property. She snapped. Yes, I am. He replied calmly. No, you're not. She raised her voice. This man is disrupting the neighborhood. That's when the second officer stepped forward. Ma'am, step back. She didn't. She stepped closer, started yelling, pointing, calling me entitled, calling the car obscene, calling herself the protector of this community. And then she shoved the officer. Hard. Silence. Then, ma'am, turn around. She screamed. Actually screamed. I run this HOA. The cuffs came out. Neighbors poured outside. Phones recording. Linda was placed in the back of a patrol car, still shouting about my Rolls Royce. The tow truck left. The officers apologized to me and handed me a card. Get a lawyer, one said quietly. I did more than get a lawyer. I sued. Harassment, abuse of authority, illegal fines, emotional distress. The HOA board panicked. Turns out Linda had been doing this for years. Targeting new residents, minorities, anyone too different. The lawsuit uncovered everything. Emails, text, internal memos. She was fired, charged, and later convicted of misdemeanor assault and unlawful enforcement. The HOA paid me a settlement so large, I bought a second car and parked it next to the Rolls. A Lamborghini, perfectly legal. No tickets since. Every time I pull into my driveway now, I remember one thing. Money didn't get her arrested. Arrogance did.